Welcome back. For the fourth day in succession, Tobago has recorded a COVID-19 related death. The newest fatality is a 49-year-old man with comorbidities. His passing took the COVID death toll on the island to the double-digit figure of 10. The Division of Health, Wellness and Family Development also reported 25 new cases within the last 24 hours, while 12 people were discharged. There is now a total of 155 active COVID-19 cases on the island of Tobago. More than 37 million Americans are expected to travel over Memorial Day weekend. Some airports are opening up vaccination sites as states across the U.S. offer vaccination incentives.
With millions of Americans on the move this Memorial Day weekend, a cross-country push to get more shots into arms. Travelers passing through airports from Miami to New York offered the one-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
How easy was it? Super easy, super fast, super convenient.
Mobile vaccination sites popping up from Chicago's Union Station to the beaches of New York City.
Go, get vaccinated, hit the beach.
Beaches and parks bracing for big holiday crowds.
We had an opportunity, we got vaccinated, and we came down.
But some doctors are worried about the unvaccinated who are still at risk.
It's like dancing in the end zone before the game's over. It feels like that mentality outside, the way everything's opening up. All we can do is just keep begging people to do the right thing.
Finally, the wait is over.
Tonight, a dizzying blitz of incentives to convince Americans to get the vaccine. California announcing $116 million in rewards, the biggest program in the country, including $15 million to be split among 10 vaccinated residents.
It feels like this is happening to a different person. I cannot believe it.
When Ohio's governor called Abigail Buczynski to tell her she won the Vax-A-Million, her parents thought it might be a prank.
I would encourage anyone to get the vaccine. If winning $1 million isn't incentive enough, I don't really know what would be.
The family of Joseph Costello agrees. He won a full ride to college.
You don't have anything to lose and everything to win.
And as the country turns a corner, Americans could soon learn more about how the pandemic started. The president says he plans to release findings from an investigation into the virus from the intelligence community.
What do you expect to get from your review, your 90-day review on where the origins of the coronavirus?
If I knew that, I wouldn't ask for a 90-day review. I don't know.
Will you pledge to release the report in full after 90 days?
Yes, that's unless there's something I'm unaware of.
President Biden today talking about that report in some 90 days from now. In the meantime, Victor with us from Miami International Airport tonight. Victor, we can see it's already busy there behind you. I'm curious, though, how many travelers who haven't been vaccinated are actually taking advantage of this offer to get that one-shot vaccine as they make their way through the airport.
David, people were lining up before the site even opened this morning, and because demand is so high, they're extending vaccinations from 2 to 4 days. They plan on vaccinating at least 3,000 people here through the holiday weekend.
That report from ABC. Nearly a year and a half since COVID-19 was detected in the Chinese city of Wuhan, the question of how the virus first emerged remains a mystery. But in recent weeks, the controversial claim that the pandemic might have been leaked from a Chinese lab, once dismissed by many as a fringe conspiracy theory, has been gaining traction. Now, U.S. President Joe Biden has announced an urgent investigation that will look into the theory as a possible origin of the disease. China's foreign ministry accused the U.S. of political manipulation and blame shifting, rejecting any link between COVID-19 and a virus research lab in the Chinese city of Wuhan. Ross Atkins explores what the U.S. investigations are covering.
Well, the issue of where the pandemic began and how it began has never really gone away, but it's back center stage because US intelligence officials are now redoubling efforts to investigate the origins of COVID-19. The orders come from President Biden. Here's the statement. It says the intelligence community is split on whether the virus came from human contact with an infected animal or emerged in a laboratory accident. You've probably heard the laboratory theory before. Is that the virus emerged from here, the Institute of Virology in Wuhan. This is one of China's top virus research labs, and we already know that the city became the first epicenter of the virus, but the questions are, where did it originally come from? Some believe the lab is where it started. Here's the White House spokesperson Karine Jean-Pierre on this new investigation.
The President is asking the U.S. intelligence community, in cooperation with other elements of our government, to redouble efforts to collect and analyze information that could bring the world closer to a definitive conclusion on the origin of the virus and deliver a report to him again in 90 days.
Well, let's work through what we do know about the origins of COVID. Scientists largely agree it came from animals. It's thought most likely that that animal was a bat. That was the case with the SARS virus, and either it was transferred directly from a bat to humans or via an intermediary animal. We also know in February 2020, a group of 27 prominent public health scientists published this letter saying, "We stand together to strongly condemn conspiracy theories suggesting that COVID-19 does not have a natural origin." The conspiracy theory they're referring to is one that the virus was man-made or was engineered in this Wuhan lab. We're not going to talk about that today. There's no evidence that took place. What we do know is that recent coronaviruses have emerged in humans that originally originated in animals. We mentioned SARS, connection to bats. Then there was MERS, which is thought to have come from camels. And that jump from animal to human can happen naturally. Professor Dale Fisher says it remains the most likely explanation.
The evidence about a more natural species jump is that this is how it's happened for centuries, especially over the last 40 or 50 years, that viruses mutate and they jump species, and we just haven't found that link yet.
But let's be clear, so far efforts to discover the natural source of COVID-19 have failed. So let's look at the laboratory leak theory in a bit more detail and how it's being investigated in the US. At the beginning, China said the virus originated here, a wet market in Wuhan. It said the virus probably jumped from wildlife in the market to humans. Now, though, that's not thought to be the most likely explanation because many of the first reported cases had no known links to the market. Which brings us to Wuhan's virology lab. We know the lab studies coronaviruses by collecting bats from around China. At the start of the pandemic, one Chinese scientist wrote that the virus probably originated from a laboratory in Wuhan, but that report was then removed. Then in 2020, the Washington Post reported that 2 years before the pandemic, US officials visited the lab and sent official warnings back to Washington about inadequate safety. The theory is that while carrying out studies, a human in the lab was accidentally infected with the virus.
That report from the BBC. Stay with us when we return the latest weather forecast.